Hello and welcome back to the Karma Stories podcast. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have 5 stories for you from the Tales from the Front Desk subreddit. The Karma Stories podcast is published to every major podcasting platform, and you can also read along on YouTube under our @Karma Stories podcast handle. Alright, on to the stories, let's jump right in. This story comes to us from NoBasil3333. It is not okay to touch strangers. Plus, but we weren't even here 24 hours. Few fun guest stories that have accumulated in the past few days. The first is on a busy night, but thankfully not sold out. There's a pair of lifetime super shiny members checked into an upper floor room who suddenly called down in a panic saying their toilet tank sprayed water everywhere. Okay, not great. Especially considering I have no maintenance or housekeeping on duty. So I get some towels and head up, ready to take off my jacket and mop up some water. The wife answers the door, pointing me towards the bathroom like it's about to explode at any moment. I open the door and okay, there's a little bit of water on the shower door and floor. Tank definitely malfunctioned, but I can take the lid off and fix it. If not, I can move them down the hall. Before I even get one step into the bathroom, the wife snatches the back of my sweater and pulls me back. Stay out of there! Now, I'm probably looking at her like she's crazy at this point, so her husband comes up and says, yes, it made a mess all over in there right after I used the bathroom, and the water got on my knee. Which, okay, props for trying to spare me from human waste, but I've been handed back used plungers without the protective bag, and had to plunge a toilet for a guest while trying not to gag. This is child's play. When I go to step in again though, I realize the wife still has my jacket in her grip and stops me from stepping forward, and the husband has stepped up like he wants to stop me from going in too. At this point, I relent. I don't want to be in these people's presence anymore, and I've been away from the desk for too long. I just move them and put in a note for maintenance, and they are, thankfully, unbothersome the rest of the evening. But seriously, why do you feel the need to pull me around like I'm a child? Don't touch me, especially not when I'm alone in your room and there's no cameras. Secondly, we have the accounts of people being entitled, rude, and frankly annoying butthats. Shiny members come in for a sports event, they check in late, and are very pleasant their first night there. The second evening, however, they call me 30 minutes after check-in time, saying that they have a family emergency and need to leave early. I tell them policy is not to refund their second night since it's back to check-in time, but I can contact my managers to see what they can do. These people come bother me about their compensation for the second night 3 more times. And the kicker, they don't actually leave until 2.5 hours after they told me of their emergency. They come by the desk again as they go to leave, asking, so did you hear back from your managers? We're good brand shiny members. We booked up one of your hotels in a different state a month from now. Can you compensate us something for the second night? Why would I care about you booking in a different state a month from now? I told them no, and that only management could maybe offer them any compensation, but policy is to charge for the second night. She follows up by hitting me with the, well, we checked in after 8 p.m. yesterday, so we haven't even been here a full 24 hours. I am too polite, and I really don't want to start things in the middle of my semi-busy lobby, because I can just tell she's going to have a full tantrum if I tell her anything similar to no right now. So I don't tell her that's not how hotels work, and I only offer maybe, and that's up to my managers to anything she asks. As she's leaving, she tells another shiny member to make sure to ask for compensation for the second night since they're also leaving early. I am now refraining from letting the irritated eye twitch show, so I get bothered by a second group of shiny members who think they deserve everything they want because the world revolves around their schedule. Miss Original Shiny member called back this morning and started getting rude and snippy with my coworker, who updated her notes to say he doesn't think she deserves anything now, and I updated mine to agree with him. If she decides she's never going to stay here again, then I will be overjoyed. F you, ma'am. F you. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Trenton Girl. It says, as far as your first story, if they won't let someone see whatever has gone wrong, my first inclination is to think that they are faking the issue, especially if they are physically restraining me from seeing it. Okay, that's interesting because they called you up there, but then they don't want you to see it? That doesn't make any sense. Part of me feels like they're covering up for something else that's wrong in that room, but OP didn't stick around, so we have no idea. As far as the second part of OP's story, Karen will always be Karen. And unfortunately, sometimes you just need to let them deal with your manager. This story comes to us from Sarah Bagay 220. We're here to check you in, not tuck you in. I believe that every hotel inevitably encounters a guest who leaves a lasting impression. In our particular establishment, this individual was named Jeff. Our hotel is conveniently connected to a casino, and Jeff was a frequent gambler who would spend countless hours engrossed in slot machines. Typically, he would reserve a room directly through the casino for a single night, often during the early to midweek period, and then extend his stay. Due to his esteemed status as a top-tier guest, he would negotiate with the manager to secure a favorable deal for his extended stay. However, an issue frequently arose as Jeff always insisted on occupying room 444, which we routinely reserve for bridal parties during weekends. As long as he adhered to the checkout time of 12 p.m. on Fridays, there was no cause for concern. Yet he would casually grant himself a late checkout, asserting his status as a VIP and, I can do whatever I want. I'm friends with the manager. Yeah, he has lots of other quote-unquote friends too. Anyway, it astounded me how some guests, particularly those who received complimentary rooms through the casino, would develop a sense of entitlement, believing themselves to be the sole occupants of the hotel. Eventually, Jeff mysteriously vanished after approximately 1 year. On an ordinary Tuesday, while I was attending to check-ins, I noticed him using our computers. One of my colleagues from the morning shift then advised me, if he wishes to secure a room, make sure he can pay for it. It came to my attention that Jeff had squandered all of his money through gambling and was now broke. He naively assumed that he could simply return and use our amenities without a reservation. He had become homeless, resorting to living out of his car in our parking lot. Each morning, he would partake in our complimentary breakfast, and during the night, he would approach us requesting blankets and comforters to avoid depleting his car battery by utilizing the heat. Personally, I hold the belief that hotels should not serve as shelters for the homeless. Consequently, Jeff was banned from our establishment. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Martha Mem. It says, I'm curious, how long did that go on before the hotel banned him? The way you phrased it, it makes it sound like they allowed it to go on for quite a while. Another commenter down below called Healthy Library 4521 said, gambling addiction is a heavy burden. When I lived in Las Vegas, I had several coworkers who worked 2 to 3 jobs. One was their rent money, the second their food and gas money, and a third for the gambling funds. One basically lived at the sport books when not working. He was betting on anything and everything. Dogs, horses, football, car races, baseball. If there were odds, he was betting. He was always trying to get me to bet on things. His addiction was so heavy that he would send in his brother to work because he was drunk off his butt from being in the sports books all day. I told his manager and mine about this, and nothing was done. His deceased wife had been best friends with his manager. There were some people in the comments that were harping on OP because OP didn't help this guy out. I mean, come on. OP's just there working their job, trying to get through the day and make a paycheck themselves. It's a business. They're not therapists. They're not required to do that to those people. While I personally think that casinos are cesspools and should be shut down, I don't think the problem here is OP. If you're listening on YouTube, comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are on gambling and casinos. This story comes to us from Frenchy Nerd, the most confusing check-in ever. This is going to be an exciting weekend. 90 minutes into my shift and already 2 tales. Guy comes to the desk. I want to check in under the name of X. It was an unusual name. I ask him how he spells that. I look through my list of reservations. Nothing. Can it be under another name? He gives me another name. Nothing. Please note that our PMS only shows last names. This will be important later. I don't have anything under that name either. Are you sure you're at the right hotel? Yes. We have 4 rooms for 4 nights. It could be under this name, or this name, or this name, or this name. He lists like 10 possible different names. Well, sir, I do have a few different reservations for that number of nights, but I need to give the right room to the right person. I can't just give you a random room. Do you have a confirmation number? He starts to swear. He goes out. He comes back a few minutes later with his laptop and shows me a screenshot of a third-party reservation. There is no name on the screenshot, and there are asterisks instead of the confirmation number. I tell him that there's no name on this screenshot. More swearing. He says, "Do you have reservations for 4 nights for one of these names?" And he gives me a series of names once again. Sir, I can give the keys only to the person whose name matches the one on the reservation. Please, I will need a confirmation number to find the right reservation. More swearing. He goes away, comes back maybe 15 minutes later. This time, he has a full confirmation email with all the names of the different reservations for the people who will be coming with him. Okay, sure, so which one of these is yours? He angrily points a finger on one of the names. This one. Sir, that's not at all the name you gave me at first. What's your name? He says very quickly a name. It doesn't seem to match what he's pointing to me. Sir, do you have a piece of ID? We usually don't automatically ask for ID here, only when the guest is sketchy or we have some doubts. He shows me his ID. Sir, that's not the same name you gave me at first. That's the name of the company. At this point, his eyes are pointing out how deeply stupid he thinks I am. That's also where I realize the name he gave me in second was his first name. He never told me his last name. So I get the right registration card. I ask him to write down his car information. More swearing. He goes out to get his plate number. I was finally able to make him pay, give him his keys, and out of my way. Gosh, what more is coming to me this weekend? Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Morzak. It says, "You had to ask. You just had to ask. Friend, when you work in a public-facing job, you never, ever ask that question, because the universe will answer very creatively. Good luck." I really don't envy the front desk people at hotels. They're dealing with people who have been doing a lot of traveling. They're just getting to the hotel, and the only thing they want to do is lie down, go to sleep, and ignore everything around them. And so yeah, they can be really testy. And some people are Karen to the core, so they see a lot of that too. OP, I hope the rest of your weekend went swimmingly. This story comes to us from Far Okra 4107. Insanity. My coworker, who was on 3 to 11, warned me when I walked in that the guests were particularly crazy tonight. Our hotel is targeted towards frequent travelers, business professionals, and corporate groups. We aren't a luxury brand, but our prices are fairly high compared to others in the area, so we generally don't get a lot of crazy. There have been some substance users in the past, but they kept to their rooms. My coworker warned me to be careful because the guests outside at our fire pit were definitely drunk and high. The first hour of the shift went okay. I even checked in my first celebrity guest, which was very cool. The guests outside finally vacated the fire pit, so I went to turn it off. I started to go outside and noticed the number of glasses, cups, etc. that were on the tables outside, and died inside a bit. I've never had to clean that much up here, ever. I had to go get a cart from the kitchen to deal with it. Outside, the smell of cigarettes and cigars, etc. was strong. I'm allergic, so my head is still pounding. One of the guests had left a burnt out but half-used cigar on top of a soda can, which I had to pick up and dispose of. the remainder of which was crushed on the ground. The trash can was less than a foot away. There were I don't even know how many cigarette butts in a wine glass. One of the glasses was clearly broken as only the top sliver of it was left. They had a full tray of glasses on one of the tables that was too heavy at first for me to lift. I had to take some off and take them to the cart as there is a ramp down to the fire pit as it's slightly lower than the rest of the area. In moving those, I managed to spill one of the drinks on my shirt. In addition to the plethora of glasses, there were used, dirty pool towels stacked on top of the trash can. I had to use one to clean off one of the small tables. I almost went back in without turning off the fire pit, but remembered at the last second. As I'm taking the cart to the kitchen, I notice there's a line at the front desk. Did I mention I'm the night attendant? So it's just me. I put the cart in the kitchen and go back to the desk. Eventually, I need to go back in there and rinse out all the glasses because I don't want the morning bistro people to have to deal with it and move the pool towels to their laundry bin. But first, I needed a break and to wash my hands 5 billion times to get the smell off. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Shy Assassin. It says, "Gotta love the crazy, smoking, alcoholic extended families, especially when they make a gigantic mess. I wish I could yell at all the smokers of the world that think they're doing the lawn a favor by leaving cigarettes all over it." You know, I'm actually surprised that OP didn't have to deal with this a lot more often in this type of hotel where the costs are a little bit higher than the other ones, because usually those are entitled people who think that there are other people paid to clean up after them. I've seen this myself. They are wonderful people. This story comes to us from Admirable Height 3696. No more poop, please. It's Friday, but not my Friday, and I'm pooped and tired of poop. Stop reading if poop triggers you. Tomorrow is my Friday, but one of my direct reports quit without notice. So I'm covering her 5-hour shift Sunday, so I won't have a day off until Wednesday. That said, today ended in a craptastic manner, and it's been nothing but poop diarrhea nonsense all week, and I'm over it. We've got a male resident with 2 to 3 dogs who refuses to follow the rules. We allow dogs, but you must pick up after them. This man rides around on his mobility scooter. He can walk. His apartment is near the south exit, and he can walk his lazy butt down the short hall to the south exit and let his dogs do their business on the lawn at the south exit and pick it up. But no, he rides his scooter down the hall with the dogs on leashes and lets them crap wherever, sidewalk or lawn, and refuses to pick it up. Wednesday was the last straw, and the dogs are being evicted. His daughter is livid because she just got his annual rent increase letter and doesn't want to pay. Well, guess what? We don't want to take care of her dad and his dogs for free either, but here we are. Our maintenance director keeps having to pick up his dog's poop daily, and this resident has bowel issues and once left a trail of poop across the lobby floor. My week started off with a complaint from one of our sweet, very hardworking housekeepers who came to me in tears because every day this dude goes into our first floor public restroom and leaves one of the stalls covered in crap. Every day she has been scrubbing and sanitizing the stall. Sunday night he had an explosion in the public restroom and, as usual, didn't tell anyone. My poor housekeeper came in to a horrible, dry, crusty mess in the bathroom and had a heck of a time getting the dried mess cleaned up. So I had to do what I had to do, and next week, the daughter is being notified that her dad is now on a care plan, and it's going to cost him a lot. His apartment is atrocious too. Fleas, smells like dog pee, and dirty dishes everywhere. All week, he's been letting his dogs poop on the sidewalk next to the south exit, and the maintenance director also put his foot down, and now the dogs are being evicted. Yesterday, I got a report that another male resident took his dog out to the courtyard, and instead of picking up its poop, he intentionally stepped in it and smushed it into the grass, and then came back inside. WTF. There's also been a 24-hour stomach bug going around, one with very bad diarrhea, and one of my direct reports appears to be patient 0. She knowingly came in sick and didn't say crap, and I only know because 2 employees from other departments told me she was sick the other day and they had to cover the front desk for extended periods of time for her. My other direct report, who worked the next shift after her, also came down with it. Before I knew about this, he had come in for his shift, but after 20 minutes began vomiting. So I sent him home and had to cover the desk, but not before I sanitized the heck out of the front desk and lobby. I did not catch the bug, thankfully, but this is when I was informed that 2 days prior, the other direct report appeared to have a stomach bug and needed others to cover the desk for extended periods of time. OMG. Today I trained my new direct report. It's her second day. It was an unusually quiet Friday until around 2 p.m., 1 hour before our shift ended. At 2 p.m., a woman I didn't recognize comes in asking if we have a wheelchair because someone was in the car. I was on the phone, so she started talking to my direct report, and that they were going to get lunch, and when whoever it was went to get out of the car, they said, "Oh my gosh." Couldn't hear the rest because I had a resident on the phone who was long-winded, and that's okay. Long story short, it was a resident's daughter at the front desk, and the resident has bad vertigo that hit when she went to get out of the car at a restaurant. And the daughter was mad that we don't have wheelchairs. Shaking my darn head. She grabbed a walker parked by the front door and was out the door so fast we thought she stole the walker, laugh out loud. It had a purse hanging on it. Turns out to be her mom's walker. Anyway, we aren't a darn hospital. We don't have a supply of walkers and wheelchairs just laying around in case someone needs to use one. Had a caregiver go out to her car to help the resident get inside safely. Resident and daughter go to her apartment. 55 minutes later, I'm on the phone getting yelled at by another male resident who tells me he had bad diarrhea, common problem for him, and needs Imodium. Okay, this ain't CVS. Can't help you, buddy. I feel bad, but he knows the deal. Residents can't just call and request over-the-counter medication like that. If they are on med management, we have their prescribed medications, RX and over-the-counter, in the med room, and they are dispensed per doctor's orders. We have to have doctor's orders for everything, including vitamins, weed, over-the-counter medications. We do not have a pharmacy on site. We do not have over-the-counter medications to dispense to those who ask for it. All medication we have belongs to specific residents who are on med management. This resident knows this, yet he always calls the front desk and says he needs an over-the-counter medication, knowing darn well that it doesn't work that way. I suggested he call his son and see if he can bring him something, and he yelled at me that his son doesn't answer the phone. So while I'm getting yelled at over someone else's poop problems, the vertigo resident's daughter comes to the front desk and starts talking to my direct report. She's mad because the caregiver said she would check her mom in 1 hour and she never did. Well, it's been 55 minutes since she brought mom back to the facility, so it hadn't been a full hour yet. But she's pissed because you're supposed to have a nurse on duty. Yes, we have a nurse, but she's basically a manager on duty. We don't provide healthcare services here. We provide help with ADLs and medication management. The nurse assesses residents, but we don't provide treatment and we don't diagnose anyone. We send them out. Anyway, this lady, this is the first time I've seen her in the 9 months I've been here. And all she cared about was dumping her poor mom. She had errands to run, and it's a 3-day weekend, and she literally said that's all she cared about. Of course, this happens on a 3-day weekend. She could have taken her mom to urgent care or the ER, but instead brings her back here and clearly wanted to dump her and run. She told my direct report, "This is on you," shaking my darn head. Nah, you brought your mom here, lady. You chose not to get medical attention for her. We aren't doctors. Best we can do is check on her and check her vitals frequently and call an ambulance if she needs medical treatment. And in the middle of this, had a caregiver come up and asked to put in a work order for poop on another resident's carpet by the bathroom. And the icing on today's cake was a new resident moved in today, and his family members brought in this massive couch that almost didn't fit through our double doors, and after nearly breaking the doors, they get the monstrosity inside, and it nearly toppled over on one of them. They reposition it and get it upright, and next thing I know, the one male in this group is standing with his back to the front desk, and right there is a big, bare, white butt. While fighting the couch, his pants apparently decided to drop. And there was this big old butt in all its glory, staring us in the face as he's trying to catch his breath. Poor guy. Our poor eyes laugh out loud. I can't take this crap anymore. So OP said that one of their residents tends to ramble on. Oh, pot, kettle, anybody? I also had to double check and see if we were in the irritable bowel syndrome subreddit for some reason, cause there was a lot of poop in this story. If you enjoy daily Reddit stories, I encourage you to follow and add us to the favorites on whichever podcasting platform you enjoy the most. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really helps us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.